Hi, my name is Denton Chambers, and I did my assignment on squat myths. It was started with depth, but it turned more into myths when I started reading the articles. And let's take you on a journey. So really, let's start with the history of the myth. You look at the 1950s, Dr. Carl Klein assumed deep squats were the root cause of major knee problems within college athletes. It's really crude assessment. His belief that deep squats actually stretched out your ligaments, so you can think of ACL and PCL in your knee. His crude assessment, in 1961, he released his findings that the squat depth reduced knee stability and could set up injury, which isn't entirely true. His findings led to many believe deep squats were unsafe. And for instance, they took out squat jumpers from Marine training altogether. We can look at your knees while squatting. Two forces can be applied. Shear force, as your bones wanting to move against each other, so think femur and tibia. Compressive force would be force generated from body parts pushing against each other. Although these forces in high dosages can be dangerous to the knee ligaments, we all know while squatting, the hamstrings play counter to the quads, limiting movement with inside the knee. Just a few pictures. The one on the left demonstrating how shear force, left and right, compressive up and down, and this one we have the degrees of knee flexion during the deep squat. Gives you all the shear force in there, and this is where I got the pictures from. Force continued. We have the highest recorded, I got these from the articles, force placed on these ligaments while squatting are 95 newtons on the ACL, equaling roughly 6% of its ultimate strength, and 2,222 newtons on the PCL, roughly 50% of its ultimate strength. You can look at ultimate strength as the force needing to rupture or tear the said ligament. Max ACL force is applied at roughly 15 to 30 degrees into squat depth, and peak force on PCL would be right around 90 degrees or parallel. Just little fun facts for you. We all know physiotherapy, say you blew out your knee skating, playing football or something, freak accident. They're used in the rehab process, so strengthening the muscles and ligaments when you're coming back for an injury. And when squats are performed with proper form, injuries are uncommon, and deep squats can actually increase your knee stability. If you look, she's really low, all the way to the ground. Nice. Perfect. Another one we look at is when your knees come past your toes. I'm sure you've watched a video or have been telling people, like, you'd watch a video and they're like, squat, just make sure your knees don't come past the toes. It's myth is just uncertain. It's just sort of been there. And people will always worry about knees moving past the toes while squatting. It's more of that of a deeper problem as execution. How are you performing a squat? What's moving first? Knees, hips. The knee joint being the first move as opposed to the hips. Think of sitting in a chair, and you stand up, and you sit back. Your hips moving first, so you can sit back. That's exactly how you want to picture a squat. Sitting back, moving with the hips. You can go back and look at the knees again. You see powerlifting events. They're doing cleans, jerks, snatches. They really need their knees for balance. So their knees will come forth when they're at the bottom, which would be a squat position, the deep squat position. They're used to maintain balance for the heavy load. And while performed correctly, the knees moving past the toes is not only safe, but would be necessary so they don't fall forward and hurt themselves. So you can see here he's performing a clean, he has about, run the numbers real quick, 400 pounds roughly in that area. It's easily double his body weight, easy. His knees very far forward, and he's very stable. Now I have an activity for everyone here, so take a minute, pause the video, grab a chair, box, stool, anything. Now that you're back with your chair, I want you to just sit down. Just sit down. Now that we're sitting, great. Stand back up. Now that we got you standing again, how did you move to sit? Hips first, I would hope. Moving the hips first would be exactly how you want to squat. So when teaching or when performing a squat, think of sitting on a chair. I want to sit back in my squat, get all stable, stand up, hips back, and sit down. And simple execution, not worried about the knees. We're all safe, we're all good. Here's the list of references, the 3 articles I read, finding everything about squats, learning more than I know, because I know for a fact, knees before the toes. I thought, yeah, we shouldn't do that. I'm going to hurt myself. I hope you were able to learn something from this and enjoy the rest of the course.